against Dallas, you cannot abandon the run. You have to run. In fact, more so against Dallas than you did against Jacksonville, because they're kind of the same front. They move a lot. They do a lot of twist stunts, and they do a lot of slant stunts. And when you play against teams like that, if you can just cut off one guy, it opens a gaping hole in the defense. So you're going to have to run against them.
So back to the Eagles win 2017 over the Cardinals. And again, this was a game that had its moments where you thought, I guess, early when they jumped out 14-0, they were going to run away with this thing. And then some moments of just, heart pounding, and they survived. Let's start with this. Let's start with the Eagles' last offensive drive. We'll kind of work our way, from the back here. But they go on that drive that's 17 plays, nearly 8 minutes. Heavy on the run, just 3 passes on that last drive. And they end up getting a field goal. Let me ask you about the third down call to throw rather than run. Good move, bad move? You guys in favor of that? Did you think it was the right play call there in that spot?
When you look at today's football, it's part of the norm. Whether we like it or not, you see teams do that all the time. And sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not.
It was third and goal from the 5, by the way.
Yeah, I
148 left.
I don't know. I'm not mad that they made the call. Because,
I was okay with it.
We sit here in hindsight and we hash it out, which is what we do, as well as fan bases, what we do. If it's successful, brilliant call. Was it, and it led to what it led to. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the call, because that is a part of the norm of today's NFL football, as we know.
I would have much rather tried to run it in.
Okay.
Either run it in or run sprint right option. The sprint right option is the best play in football. It's almost unstoppable, because you got the pass. You can pass it to A.J. Brown, the best receiver we have on the team. Just have him run a little out route, throw it to him right there, or you just run it in yourself. I just think it's a better option, better plays that they could have went to, or just flat out just run the ball. You just ran the ball 8 daggone times down the field, couldn't stop it.
They ran 14 times on that 17-play drive.
Come on, man.
14
times. The rock, bro. Just run the rock. That's all.
All right. And look, I think it's a fair look. I think that's a fair question. I think it's the more fair question is, why did you get away from the run so much early? It's not like Miles Sanders wasn't running it well. One of the things Sirianni referenced after the game was, Kelsey was kind of in and out. Landon Dickerson was kind of in and out. You're already down 2 left tackles. I think he sort of intimated that was part of it. But my response to that would be, and obviously I wasn't in Arizona to follow up, you had the same circumstance during that last drive. I know Kelsey was back in there, but you were able to run it really well then. So why not commit to it a little bit more earlier in the game?
Opeta and Driscoll are better run blockers than they are pass protectors.
I don't know. That's it.
100%.
Okay.
Don't say anything. You don't have to say anything else. You can just drop the mic.
There you go.
Why wouldn't you just run the rock when you know you got 2 backups?
And when you look at the success that you had running the rock late in the game, you knew my problem with it is, I don't think you tested their interior enough early in the game to control the clock even more so.
Absolutely.
Because
you hit it.
You start throwing the ball, you let Arizona come back. Once Marquise Brown scored that touchdown, the momentum shifted. And Eagles got lucky. Arizona didn't have enough time. It had to take 3 instead of 7 going in the locker room at halftime. See, you didn't test them enough. You ended up, because of the way you approached the offensive mindset from late in the third quarter through the fourth quarter, was the definitive reason why you control the clock over 9 minutes more than your opposition, which kept them handcuffed and didn't let that little Energizer bunny get off the bench over there. Okay. So why didn't you do that? Because the game, if it played out the whole game the way it played out in the fourth quarter, it wouldn't have been a close game.
No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a close game. You'd have had the ball like 40 minutes compared to 17 for them or something like that.
Guys, you can't make that mistake against a good team. Against Dallas, you cannot abandon the run. You have to run. In fact, more so against Dallas than you did against Jacksonville, because they're kind of the same front. They move a lot. They do a lot of twist stunts, and they do a lot of slant stunts. And when you play against teams like that, if you can just cut off one guy, it opens a gaping hole in the defense. So you're going to have to run against him. Plus, you don't want to be passing as an offensive lineman. You don't want to be back setting, pass setting against
those guys,
Parson
and Lawrence in that front,
bro. And it's not just them, man.
And they got J-Ron Curse back.
I mean, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
They got Hill can rush the passer.
Yes.
Armstrong can rush the passer.
Lawrence.
Bohanna, he can rush the passer. Lawrence can rush the passer. Then Dante Fowler can rush the passer.
Yes, and they're all coming from different directions.
Yes,
they do a lot of loops and stunts,
twisting, and if you haven't played with the guy next to you, it's really tough to block those type of fronts because you got to be on the same page.
If they can't establish the run, I can see Jalen Hurts doing a lot of what he did against Detroit and yesterday against Arizona.
Yes, running this way,
dumping it off or throwing it out of bounds.
Yeah,
I can see it. I can just visualize it right now. That if they don't figure out how to smack Dallas in the mouth in the run game, it's going to be an interesting night. It's going to be an interesting night no matter what.
No, it's going to be fascinating for sure. Well, let me ask you, for a team that threw as much as they did up until that last series, how does A.J. Brown get almost solely ignored after the second quarter? So I know he had a drop and Devontae had a drop. Two things you don't often see. Both guys had drops, in fairness. But he only ends up for the day with 3 catches for 32 yards and nothing for the last 2.5 quarters. I don't know. That's confusing to me.
Well, because I understand you really wanted to have the game plan revolve around Dallas Goedert. You can see that was evident.
And that worked really well. It did.
Yes, it did. But you can't continue to run plays like those bubble screens and those wide receiver screens and tight end screens. I mean, they started tackling better. I understand that was a weakness you saw on their team, that their DBs were soft and they wouldn't tackle. Well, after about getting their chin checked for first, they came out the second half fighting, scratching, and clawing. They came up and started hitting. They started making plays. They started tattooing little Smitty. They was tearing him up.
Smitty took some hits and kept going.
Yeah.
Skinny Batman was almost R.I.P. Batman. I'm gonna tell you, man. That's a tough dude. He's a tough dude. I'm gonna give him that because he got up. He got up.
But you got to stop putting him. Don't put him in those type of positions. Run them slant. You cannot stop a slant to A.J. Brown. You can't stop it. You cannot stop. I don't care who it is.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot stop a slant play to him. Those DBs definitely couldn't do it. And the mere fact is you just went away from it. That's a travesty. You shouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying? I understand you got to be able to focus on another game plan. That's been your calling card, Steichen, for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
You do what it takes to win games, and you won the game.
Yeah,
but you adjust on the fly. You see that they've got a bead on your speed screens. They got a bead on it. They see
so much short stuff. It was so much like dink and dunk kind of.
You know why? Because Arizona forced them to do that. Arizona forced them to get rid, and that's fine. That's okay. That's in-game adjustments. There's no problem with that. But in the second half, they started taking away that screen from Goddard, and I'm thinking, okay, here's where AJ frees himself up.
Lance, yeah.
It was in a witness protection program. We don't know where he is.
Yeah.
It
was strange. I did not think it was the offensive coordinator's best game. Adjustment wise, game plan wise, all of it. And Barrett, you're right. Props to the Cardinals for the way that they went after him. But man, it was strange. Now the good news is Goddard was really good. 8 catches, 95 yards, 12 yards per catch, nine targets. He's excellent after the catch. I'm taking nothing away from Zach Ertz, but that's the thing that Zach didn't give you that Goddard gives you for sure. His yards after catch is just such a difference.
Absolutely. A difference. No question about it.
He's a monster.
He'll lower that shoulder, and he'll generate contact in a minute. Zach didn't want to do that. Zach get his yards and get down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you look at it also. Just like on the all-out blitz that they had. You know what I'm saying? We call that zero coverage, zero blitz. If you're not covering a receiver, you're coming, you're blitzing. And on that play, Hurts saw that they were running zero coverage. He saw that his guy that he was going to go to was Zach Ertz, and he just, threw a hope and a prayer up, and, he got it to, Dallas Goedert for a huge play. I think he caught it for 11, ended up being 16. I mean, that's just a great play by Jalen Hurts, number one, checking to it, and number two, Dallas Goedert executing.
Yeah, I agreed. 100% agreed. And I thought Devontae was effective. I thought Dallas Goedert was effective. I don't know what happened with A.J. Brown. And the running game was there if you would have chosen to utilize it more. I will say this. I don't want to take anything away from that last drive. I to be able to take 8 minutes off the clock, basically, and at least get points there is enormous. I mean, that was one hell of a drive.
No question about it. No question about it. That was the defining moment of the Eagles game for the Eagles. That drive, that was a signature drive to do what they had to do to give that kicker a chip shot. The funny thing about that kicker is, he said he didn't even like football. Did you hear that? He didn't like football, didn't watch football.
I'm not even sure. He was asked if he knew that this continues the undefeated streak. I don't even know if he knew what the Eagles' record was. He's out there, man. Dicker the kicker's out there.
Dude, the fact that how he found him.
Soccer player.
He's a strange guy. There's video. Go back to 2018 when he was kicking for Texas, and it's the Red River rivalry, which Texas beat down Oklahoma this year, but it's usually a close game. It's a big game. He's standing there. I think they froze him, and he's just standing there. He's just like looks at the camera, like, all right, I got it. Like he's a nut, but I guess it's good. The moment probably wasn't too big for him because he doesn't even know what's going on out there. It's good. It's a positive. I will say this too. Props to Kelsey he was pretty banged up to come back in there. Dude's tough.
What I always say, he's held together by duct tape and bubble gum.
Yeah.
He's the walking wounded. And we got to also say big props to Dickerson also coming back.
Fought back.
Fought back through that, man. Yeah. But like I said, again, it's great that Kelsey and Dickerson were able to get back out there. Now we just sit, wait, and hold our breath to find out what the long-term prognosis is for this week, as they start to medically look at things a little bit closer. You're talking about three of your starting offensive linemen in Mailata, Dickerson, and Kelsey in terms of being nicked up now. To what degree? We're going to find out as the week progresses. But I really thought, I was like, when Kelsey limped off and then at one point he bent his knee, I thought it was his knee at first.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sitting there with Mark Farzetta and Seth. I said, the one thing that has always just left me speechless when it comes to like knee injuries is I've seen guys, the doctors are checking knees and twisting a leg and a kneecap on the field. Dudes get up and jog off the field. Next day you find out they tore ACL, MCL. It just amazes me. You can get up and still just run with those torn ligaments like that. And the next day you find out their season is done. I'm like, how's that possible?
Yeah. I don't know. And you feel like, and this applies to almost any team, but you feel like the only thing that is really going to put a massive monkey wrench into the season is if they get, they can't survive some of these injuries. Now, the good news is for the most part, other than Derek Barnett, you're going to get back. Like you may get Mailata back this week. Right. Dillard's pretty close, which would be a major upgrade over Driscoll. And Kelsey, it just feels like, get him to the bye week, man. Just get through the Cowboys game and let him. And same with Dickerson, maybe. But for the most part, you are pretty healthy going into this game. You could get some real troops back. You could be getting Maddox back, which is a big deal.
That's huge.
Which is underrated. Huge. I think it's an underrated loss for the last 2 weeks,
bro. He is good at what he does, man. Being that slot guy, we didn't have to worry about him for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks we didn't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
Or the past 2 weeks we were getting lit up around the hashes.
I will say this also, and I reported it before the season what they were going to do with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't know if you can. I think they need to get him out of that safety spot. I don't think he's comfortable in that safety spot.
Barrett, you had that right away. Yeah.
But unfortunately, when Maddox comes back, that's where he's going to play. Now, hopefully he adapts to it better, but I think he is very uncomfortable in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Avonte would be great at that spot, man.
Yeah.
Avonte will be great at that guy that can go around. He can do everything. He's versatile enough. He can play the center field. He understands angles. He understands where he's supposed to be in the offense, in the defense. He knows it. He can play it, dog. Why don't they have C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a great, not good, but a great slot corner also. Might even be a little more aggressive than Avonte.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why. I mean, and it making me look like a fool, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I mean, it's proof is in the pudding. Yeah. It's evident. Did you see how wide open Zach Ertz was?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And
several times. And look, Ertz is a real good route
runner. Murray missed him by a mile.
Yeah,
now he wasn't going to score.
Also,
he did. He did.
Randall Moore.
Yeah, he did.
He missed both of them wide open. He missed both of them.
Yeah.
And then of course, Marquise Brown drops one over the middle. He was taking that to the house. There's no doubt in my mind. He was wide open in the middle of the field.
Come on,
when he dropped that one, that was a house. That was 6 guaranteed. As fast as that dude is, I still can't get out of my mind how he wiggled through them to score that one touchdown, man. They were slapping at air.
Yeah, he could fly.
Exactly.
He could fly.
And I'm like, why are we resorting back to this poor tackling again like we saw against Detroit?
Yeah.
Bro, TJ, this is the first time I've seen TJ look human. He looked very human this last game. Very human this last game. He just didn't have it. He didn't have it, man. He taking the wrong angles, not tackling, good. I mean, he just didn't. He didn't look like the same guy, man.
What was your sense of the way that Hurts played?
I thought Hurts played.
I don't think he played his best game. I thought he was okay.
No, I thought he played adequate.
Yeah,
that's a good word to use.
He played adequate.
I see encouraging signs, like he rolling to his left. That one throw was beautiful across his body. Arm strength, going against the grain, which he didn't do a ton last year.
You don't do that though.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I know. You're right.
When he did it, I said, no, why did he do that? And as soon as I said that, Jaws like, no. Right as I said it.
Right.
Because you just don't do that. You can't throw. First of all, you don't throw across your body. But what you did see from him, and I guess housed, the guy that coached him over the past couple of weeks, over the offseason.
Well, in the offseason, yep.
You saw him turn around to throw the ball, but he got his hips square.
Yeah.
Yep.
To throw it. Yeah. That's all him going out and getting his fundamentals correct.
Mm-hmm.
He is more fundamentally sound than I've ever seen him, man. Even on that pass, even on that throwing across his body, he still was able to swing his hips around, get the footwork down, and throw, man. To me, he's becoming that quarterback, man. That do it all quarterback.
He played the game Arizona forced him to play, because Arizona put pressure on him all day. They didn't let him just sit back there and set his feet. They forced him to move to the right and to the left, and it's very similar to the Detroit game. Mm-hmm. He answered how they forced him to play. Now, he didn't put up the kind of, he was 18 for 34 against Detroit, but he didn't put up wild numbers, but he put up effective numbers when he had to. And he was smart enough. I saw a couple of games, quarterbacks standing back there trying to make a play, took unnecessary sacks yesterday across the league.
100%.
He threw the ball away when he had to. Live to see another play.
He is a smart quarterback, man. He is a smart quarterback.
We just downplay that, man. We really do downplay that, but he is.
That's because y'all Phillies just signed Rob Thompson to a 2-year deal.
Yep, 2-year deal. I was gonna bust them with that.
Sorry about that.
No, I want you guys to finish your point. No, not at all.
That's a great. Let's talk about that.
It's a great move. He's extended now for 23 and 24. Dave Dombrowski made the announcement today. It's a done deal. I think it's a cool little. Not that we didn't all think that it was headed this way. Of course, I mean they'd be insane not to bring him back, but I think it's a cool thing to do it before the next series starts. And the players like, you took care of our guy. Like they're going to be feeling really good about themselves going into tomorrow's game. So the timing was nice.
Too many teams slap an interim tag on a manager or a coach, and then all of a sudden the offseason search, they bring in somebody completely different.
Right.
When you look at how this team responded with him at the helm, it was a slam dunk that these guys love playing for this guy,
Agreed.
And look at the success they had, and look at how they rallied and turned it around under him, and won games with depleted rosters at times in July and August and even in September, and still find a way to get in the playoffs. Although they took it down to the wire, they got some help from Milwaukee's inadequacies. They still found a way to get into the playoffs and shock the world and take out St. Louis in the first round. So That's what I love. Now on paper, the defending champs are still standing. Now you got to go through them.
Yep.
And we assume you're going to have to go through the Dodgers if the Dodgers take care of the Padres. But that's what it's all about. The old saying goes, you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And now
no question.
you got 2 of the 3 best still in the game in Atlanta and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
No question about it. Yeah, but look, there's no denying when you have this drastic of a turnaround, which they've had under him.
You're right.
This guy, and I'm happy for him. Look, he's been in the game for 34 years, whatever it's been. This dude paid his dues.
Yeah, he did.
He paid his dues, man. In the minor leagues for a long time as the bench coach, where you're kind of unheralded. He waited his turn. He finally got a shot, and when he gets a shot, he does this. Even go back to Friday's game, just pinch running for Bohm. He puts Sosa in there. Yeah. Sosa makes a great slide in the midst of that inning. This guy's one step ahead all the time, and I think the players thrive off of his just
they trust him, man. They trust him. They do trust him, man. You don't see anybody bitching about lineups, or anything. Usually guys are kind of moping in there. No, these guys understand what he's trying to do. They're trying to work within the framework of what he's trying to do, man. Anytime you got a manager that can do that, man, it's you've got a chance, you've got a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Michael Barkay is going to be joining us at 1:30. We will dip further into the Phils and that move and everything else that's happening. Good mojo going into the Braves series for sure. Braves coming off the bye week, and we'll get into the dates when the games are being played, the pitching matchups, all that good stuff.
Tomorrow at 1:00. Yep.
Yeah, tomorrow, absolutely. So generally, I think you from an offensive perspective, the game yesterday, you look at it as certainly not their A game, but they survived. And when they really had to have a big drive. You went, again, last 6 drives without a touchdown, but that 6th drive, you did get a field goal, which gave you the lead, and there was a lot of things that went down. Like, I'll give you another example, just staying on the Jalen theme for a minute. Perhaps the play of the game, in my opinion, could have been 3rd and 11 from the 35 when he's got all kinds of, mess in his face. He's got a pass rush in his face, and he connects with Goddard, who breaks a tackle, and they get a first down on a 3rd and 11, which keeps it, which makes that, by the way, it turns it into a manageable field goal where you drive it down to the 5 rather than being at the 35 right there. And if you try the field goal, it's 52 yards. That's a huge thing from a Cameron Dicker standpoint. You make it a chip shot compared to what could have been a big one. So even though they didn't throw it a ton on that last drive, that play may have been the play of the game.
And it just shows how Hurts, was able to execute it, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't buckle under pressure.
No. Yep. Yeah, I never worry about that. I never feel like he's been shook in a game.
Right.
I don't think he's not made up that way. I do worry he's taking a lot of hits. And I'll
see, everybody keeps saying that, man.
Barrett, I do. I'm one of them.
I'm telling you, 15 carries again yesterday, and I know it's a necessity, and it worked. He got 2 touchdowns. I don't like seeing my quarterback diving head first in short yardage situations because the D lineman is laying shoulders and helmets and everything else. Boom, And I just don't want to see jam neck, nerve injury, anything like that. He's a strong dude. This is anybody who underestimates his strength. How many quarterbacks squatting 600 pounds?
Well, it's a quarterback sneak is automatic. I hate to jinx it.
I understand,
Jalen Hurts.
but I'm saying the defensive player is getting a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Taking a shot.
Derek, that to me is a little bit different than some of the other stuff. But I hear you.
I don't like my quarterback carrying the ball 15 times a game. Period.
Yeah.
And he was your leading rusher, and he tied Miles Sanders for leading in most carries in the game. They both had 15 in that game yesterday. And I understand why he did it, but
you don't sweat that.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Don't take the intangibles out of his game.
I get it.
Everybody keeps saying that. We're talking about a guy. He's built differently than a regular quarterback. You look at Jackson. Jackson looks slender build. He looks like he's fragile. There's nothing that looks fragile about Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, and the likelihood of you getting hurt in football is, it's a high possibility, but you can't take away what makes him a great quarterback. Mm-hmm. His ability to go out there and do the things that he does with the football, not just throwing the football, but his execution on how to make sure that, even checking in and out of running plays and, saying RPOs and read options and him reading coverage and stuff. I mean, his quarterback, his quarterback is more than just throwing and reading coverage. It's also looking at the defense and checking to the right plays, whether it's a run play, his execution of the run play, whatever it's an option play, his execution of the option play. Understand what the run part of it, the RPO, the pass part of the RPO, and the option between the two. He can do it better than just about anybody I've seen run that type of defense. So that's why I said, I don't want to take that out of his game, because that's a major, major weapon and what makes him a really, really good quarterback.
Right. Fair.
I agree with you 100%, but at some point, especially when you start frustrating defenses, when he goes into that slide, there's always that defensive loose cannon who's going to take that extra shot. Who was it yesterday? Quarterback took a shot. The quarterback came up pushing him, and all of a sudden you had a mini melee along the sideline.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Pickett came up. He was there. He committed himself. He gave himself up. He slid. The DB still hit him. Defensive line, whoever it was, still pounced on him. And those are the little things. That's the major reason why I don't like my quarterback having to tuck and run as much as he is. Because when you start frustrating defensive people, all of a sudden they get ticked off. They lose their mind. I mean, let's face it. You got
a Jordan Mailata.
You got some loose cannons in playing in the National Football League.
Yeah.
You have Jordan Mailata as an enforcer, but I'm saying that doesn't take away from the quarterback taking his shot before Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson get over and try to defend him. I don't want to see the dude sipping soup through a straw.
But then you take away, then you take away of what makes Jalen Hurts.
I know.
Yeah,
the
effectiveness of him running the offense. Yeah,
I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just saying I just don't like, because it cost RG3 a career. It cost Lamar Jackson a significant part of the season last year. I don't want to see it cost Jalen Hurts any playing time as they continue to go on this journey this year.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Especially with the favorable schedule that they have. I mean, that's just a preference.
That's tough, man, because I look at the quarterback McNair, and McNair was built kind of the same way, kind of the same game.
Steve McNair?
Yes.
Yeah.
McNair's a thick quarterback, a thick-bodied quarterback that can
even bigger than Jalen.
Right, and who can handle that type of punishment.
So was McNabb. McNabb was a thicker quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But it's different football than it was back when Mac played. When Mac played, there were drop back quarterbacks. They weren't really the run around quarterbacks. Right. They weren't featured. Now these quarterbacks are featured in offenses that they didn't have back then.
Right.
So it's a difference in how they use those quarterbacks as opposed to what they use now. So in Mac's defense, Mac chose to not be a running quarterback.
Mac made a business decision.
He wanted to be a passing quarterback. So I think that's a huge difference on how he approached the game.
Injury update, not Eagles. Rashad Penny out for the year.
Yeah.
For Seattle.
That's a shame. He was having such a good year.
Broken fibula. That's a shame. He had been excellent.
Yeah, you knew it was bad when you saw him on a cart being taken off. He had tears coming down his face.
That,
I hate seeing that, man. He was having such a good year too.
He's a stud. Shame. Yeah, that's too bad.
A shame.
So he's done for the year. That puts a real crimp into Seattle, man. That's for sure. Because that running game was so effective. All right, we come back. We'll go to the other side of the ball. We'll look at the defense a little bit deeper. Some of the struggles, some of the positives. Were they aggressive enough? Only one forced turnover, only one sack. We'll get into all the Jordan Davis playing in 42% of the snaps. Had another good week. We'll dive into that as well. Barrett, Derek, Rob, 130, Michael Barkan. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration is the place that you reach out to if your home or business or property that you own is experienced or has experienced water, fire, smoke, mold damage, whatever the case may be. They can handle it. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week. I've gone through it personally. I called them on a Saturday. They got to my parents' house. They cleaned it up. They fixed the problem. The crew was professional, clean. The price was reasonable. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Their reputation stands on its own. That's for sure. They also will work in conjunction with your insurance company. Again, could be water, could be fire, could be smoke damage, mold remediation. They can handle all of it. And if there's something else going on and you're not quite sure, they absolutely are great to consult with, and they can come over and check it out and give you an idea of what's going on. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.